Greetings everybody, welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph, I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So here we are, back on Sunday, midday, doing another episode of This Week. This Week is the show that I do every Sunday that talks about what is going to be going on this channel for the week, a little bit more in the future, sometimes for the month, sometimes future months, stuff that's coming up on the show basically. Sometimes I go back and I talk about something that's happened in the past if I think there needs to be a correction. But none of that's going to be happening this week because everything went well. So anyways, for this week we have a total of 7 regular shows, plus we have 7 shows for my series, which is going on for the month of November, which are my 30 favorite rock albums from the year 1979. I started with that this week. I thought I would do that first. So we have 7 more albums going up this week, and then we'll probably have 2 more weeks. I think it'll be about 2 more weeks of this before we get to the number 1. I've enjoyed doing it so far. Quite a few of these albums I'm revisiting from the past. Some of them are new to me. Some of them I have listened to periodically but not really gotten into, so it's given me a chance really to get to know a lot more stuff that I wanted to get into. But because you're doing shows like this all the time, you only have time to listen to a certain group of stuff, and I listen to my playlist too, but sometimes stuff sits on the shelf here. There's a few albums up here in my collection of stuff to be listened to that, been up there for a while. I just can't get to them because you just only have so many. You can only listen to so many albums a day. That's just the way it is, But anyways, the series is going well, I think, and we're moving right along. Another good week of albums, I think. I hope you can come and join us and see the content that we're talking about. So the next thing I usually do. This is usually first. I talk about the shows that I normally do during the week. So, of course, the number 1 comes out in the morning today, which we're doing now, which is this week, talking about the stuff going on the channel. Tonight's show, Ben's Album Challenge, which features the band Omega and the album Hall of Floating in the Sky, or Floaters in the Sky. I think it's Floaters in the Sky. So I've listened to it once. When he first gave it to me, I generally listen to it. And then I usually listen to it the day of, too, when I'm doing the video for it. I think this will be a good one. I have a good feeling about it. Very different kind of cover to it, though. So the next show that normally comes out is on Monday night, which is a look back at a favorite album. Or look back at a classic rock album. That's basically what we do. So I decided to do this album this week. It's been on my playlist now pretty close to 5 months, I'm pretty sure. Usually that's around the time when I feel like if they get to 5 months, they're usually good enough to go on this show. If they don't get to 5, if they don't make it to 5 months because they're not good enough, there's the occasional one that gets stuck up there for a while that really I don't think is good enough to make the show, so I don't put it in. But this one is good. This one took a bit of time for me to like, which is kind of unusual for AC/DC because I usually like their stuff almost instantly and play it to the point where I get tired of it. That's usually what happens with them. But this album's a little bit different. It took me a while to like it and get into it, and now I like it. So I decided we're going to do the video for my classic rock album. Monday nights look back at a classic rock album. We're going to do that for AC/DC's Power Age. That will be the album we do this week. The next show that usually comes out is called What's New. It's taken over this spot now and is weekly, which is good because there is so much. What I'm discovering is there's so much new stuff. When I started this show in the spring, I kind of was going to do it as something comes up. I was going to try and do it, but I just couldn't squeeze a lot of it in, so I was missing a lot of it. So then I decided, well, I got to come up with some way to do it on a regular basis. So I said, you know what, there's enough here that we can do a bi-weekly show and alternate that with metal, which is what I then started to do. But then I was discovering that there was so much new stuff that I wanted to do, and there wasn't going to be enough time to do it all. So then I decided the show was liked enough, and I liked it enough to make it a permanent daily show, which it is. And then I just have to find out what to do with metal, which I will get to later in this episode. So, so what's new? That's the episode we're going to be doing this week. And we're going to do something, a band that I discovered recently when I was doing a put together of my 30 favorite rock albums that came out in the 21st century, which is the video that will be coming out soon. Well, when I was putting that together, I discovered this band, and I thought, why did I not know about these guys? So I started listening to some of their stuff, and I kind of like it a lot. It's very psychedelic, but not always, So I'm very new to the band, so I've done. I've decided to do one of their 2 albums they released this year, and I picked the first one because I think it's more up my alley, which is the King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Their album is called Petro Dragonet, I guess that's what you would call it, Apocalypse. Now, the title of the album is actually quite lengthy, and I will use it when I do the episode of what's new. I will use the entire album and the entire title, plus I will use this one as well, just to tell you what it's about. Anyways, I think they're a very psychedelic band. They have a lot of interesting sounds. And they're also Australian, which and the funniest part about them is that they've been around about a decade now, or maybe a little bit longer. I think about a decade, a little over a decade, and they've got 25 studio albums already. So they're prolific if they're nothing else, right? So that's the album we're going to do for what's new this week. Wednesday night's favorites is going to be my 30. I decided to up it. Originally, I started out doing a 25, but I was finding way too many albums. So I thought, well, I won't even have time to put this episode out if I keep finding this many albums. So I did my my ranking of the songs of Deep Purple's In Rock, which I had planned to do. That was going to be an episode or so down the road, but I decided, well, you know what, I'll do that one now because it's pretty much ready to do, and then I'll just put this one off for another week. So it's going to come out this week, but I've changed it. Instead of me and my top 25 favorite bands albums that came out in the 25th, yeah, okay, Buck Rogers. Yeah, in the 21st century, I decided I would up it a bit. At first I thought I might have to do a 2-parter, like 2 25s, or maybe I'll do a 50 or whatever. But I narrowed it down to 30 albums. So we're going to do a top 30 albums that came out, or top 30 rock albums that came out in the 21st century. So from 2000 to 2022. Excluding the year 2023, the one we're in, because I am doing a special video for the stuff released this year, my top 10. I'll be doing a top 10 favorite for that, probably towards the end of next month. So that's what's going to happen for this week's favorites. This seems to be the most popular show on the channel. I try to keep it varied. I try to keep adding different things. I don't want to do, top 10 this and top 10 this and top 10 this for every country. I don't want to do that. It's too consistently similar. I like to vary it. I'm planning on doing a ranking either next week or the week after. I've decided that I'm ready to do this ranking. I'm still missing 1 or 2 albums from the collection, but neither of those 2 albums are albums I really want. So I may do the ranking. So the ranking will be of Genesis discography, and I'll rank them according to the way I always do this. I did the Yes one recently too, but I feel like it's time to do Genesis now. There's a couple of other groups here that are getting close to that time too, but I like to be fairly familiar with all of the stuff in their discography before I decide on doing anything ranking. On occasion there might be an album or 2 that you can't you haven't listened to enough to really put in the ranking, but you still got to rank it because it's part of the discography. So I try to give it a fair shake if I can. Some of these I will probably do again at some time in the future, but for now I want to do the Genesis one is the one I'm thinking to do before the end of the year, and in all likelihood it'll be the end of this month. Okay, so having said that about favorites, the next show that usually comes out is the Forward Champion, and that comes out on Thursday night. The Forward Champion is basically a show that I do every week on Thursday night, in which I choose an album, initially I've chosen 2 albums. One of them is voted in as being the champion. That champion then goes on to face a new challenger every week. If he gets 5 wins in a row, I retire him, and at the end of the year we are going to do an episode with any albums that may have had 5 or more victories, or won't be more, but 5 victories in a row. We'll go up against each other, and we'll have like a grand champion of the supers, the super albums we'll call them. And it doesn't matter how many of them there are, we'll do them all in the same episode. And that'll probably happen maybe the last episode of the year for Forward Champion. So the next show that I do every week is called Monster Hits. This seems to be, I actually thought this wouldn't be that popular, but because this is more of an album-oriented channel, prog-oriented channel, so those kind of things don't normally fly as well, but it's actually done pretty well. Like, people seem to like to be reminded of all those one-hit songs, or those songs that came out 30 or 40 years ago, and some of them, kind of have faded. Nobody really thinks about them anymore. But, when I'm doing this, I'm thinking, wow, I forgot all about this group, and I forgot this song, and I forgot how good this was. It tends to be very pop-oriented, though, so most of this stuff is stuff that I don't listen to that much anymore, but I do appreciate it for what it is. So Monster Hits, and the year we're doing this week is 1988. And before I get going, I went right past Forward Champion without announcing. I did talk about the thing, but I forgot to announce the challenger this week against whoever wins between AC/DC's AC/DC's Highway to Hell. Yeah, you got to get to hell before it's hot, right? And between them and I believe they're facing the Hawkwind album. That's what it was. Hawkwind's Hall of the Mountain Grill. So whoever wins that battle will come up to face this album next week. Jailbreak by Thin Lizzy. It's a really good album too. It's currently in my playlist. Of course, I've heard this many times before when I was younger. A friend of mine had it. Not the friend that always did it, but another guy I knew had it and got me into these guys. And now I got the album myself, so I'm playing it a lot. So there you go. That's it for the regular shows for this week. In addition to that, I ran metal last night on Saturday night, and I'm going to leave it on the Saturday night for the time being, but it won't be every Saturday. It'll be bi-weekly for now. Eventually, I'm going to fit it back into the weekly schedule, alternating with something. I have a idea of where that may go, and I prefer to do all those shows during the week and have Saturday open in case I have to do something special, which is what I like to do. So other than that, that's it for the shows for the week and the series for the month. The other thing that I like to do is maybe talk about upcoming things that aren't scheduled for this week. I'm still considering the Roy Orbison thing. Not actually considering it. I'm still looking for a place to put it in a time period in which I can actually work on it, because it's not a high priority, but I still want to do it. It's just finding the time to do it. That's it. That's all there is to it. Now, I was supposed to do I thought about doing a live stream this week, but there's just too many things going on. I can't do 20 things when I only have enough time to do 15, right? You just can't do it. So it's going to have to, the stream is going to have to go off for a bit. And, when we get a chance to do it, I will do one again. I don't know that I had decided to do it permanently anyway, so I'm still deciding on that. And the other thing is a couple of, so next month we'll be doing a kind of a battle of the bands again. Ben has put together this battle. He put all the bands, or chose all the albums for the battle, and put all of the combatants against each other. If you missed a couple episodes ago, I may have talked about it a bit. So basically it's set up to go, and I just have to listen to the albums, and then I will talk about both albums and then make my decision as to which one will win. And this topic this time is going to be solo albums by members from bands that were in prog bands, or they're basically prog solo albums by members of prog bands, I guess, maybe that way. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to word it, but that's what it's going to be about. That will take place for the month of December. In January, I'm planning on doing a couple of mini-series. I have two, well, I actually have 4 of them done, completed, and I'm going to do 2 of them for January. Both of them, I think, will be of great interest to people on this channel. We're going to do one mini-series on those 6. It's going to be those 6 bands that are, to the prog community, huge bands, but for some reason in the commercial world didn't quite make that jump like the Yeses and the Genesis and the Pink Floyds all did. So I have picked out 6 bands for that. I think most people will enjoy these bands. These are all bands that I like a lot, and I think they're as good as any of the big bands, but they didn't really have the commercial success that those other bands had. We're going to do a mini-series on those 6 bands. The other mini-series that I'm going to do, and now it's completely gone out of my mind, it's actually ready to go too. Oh yeah, here it is. It's one that Ben gave me this idea. Maybe a month ago he might have gave me this idea, and I thought about it, and then I kind of worked it around in my head as to how I want to present it and how I want to go about it. So the premise of it is Genesis. It's called Genesis versus Yes, but it's not really a battle. I'm not thinking of it as a battle. It's just going to. I've chosen 6 different topics and put 6 different albums from each of the band in each of the topics. So you'll have one Genesis and one Yes one Genesis album, one Yes album under one particular topic. And we're going to do a 6 episode mini series of that. I haven't got a title for it yet, but I just wanted you to be aware that those are the 2 mini series I'm planning to do in January. February is going to be a bit of a different month. I'm not sure I want to go that far ahead, but I think I will talk just a little bit about it, just because I'm kind of excited to do this. Now I just have to find my notes on it. Maybe just bear with me a second, because I did make some. I just don't know what I did with it. That's weird. I'm not sure where I put it. Anyways, I hope you did enjoy the episode of Metal last week. Metal is next week's show. I still have to choose a band. It'll be the alternating theme that we've been following all along. I did Diamond Head last night for the bands that are older than 10 years. Like bands that were around longer than 10 years ago. And then the next theme is I usually do a band that's fairly new to the heavy metal scene, or hard rock. Heavy metal scene basically is what it is, and I've chosen to do and I usually pick a band from that period of time that we're able to talk about. I do not know where I put my notes on this topic, so I guess it's still far enough away. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, here it is. So the other series that I'm planning to do for the month of February, because it's a little bit of a shorter month, and I think this one will fit there perfectly. It's I thought about this. I'm going to call this the top 28 sweet sounding rock vocalists. So these are vocalists that aren't necessarily, they're not necessarily huge vocalists, that people don't know all of them. They don't know. They're not as prominent. Some of them will be, of course, but some of them probably won't be. They're not necessarily the best or the most popular vocalists, but when I say sweet sounding, their voice is like almost angelic. That's what I guess that's the best way to describe what the sweet sound is. So there's going to be 28 of these vocalists I'm going to pick out for this series for the month of February. As for series going on, I haven't decided that far ahead, and other ideas may come to mind that I want to explore. So this one I thought about while I was working one day. I thought, wouldn't it be nice to do a month-long series on all those great vocalists who just have that almost goosebumpy type vocal sound to their voice. So you won't be getting guys like Steven Tyler, or even one of my favorite vocalists, Geddy Lee, who I love. I think he's got a great voice, but I don't think he falls into there. And then I would take some hits if I put him on there, I'm sure. Anyway, so that's the series for February. So we're pretty set now for a few months. I am currently enjoying this particular series that we're doing. 1979 was a kind of pivotal year for me. It was the year I started to move away from my Kiss obsession to a wider range of music. So it was probably the first year where I was really kind of wide open to it. I started it in 78, and then it kind of expanded. And so 79 and 1980 are two big years for me, and I've already done the 1980 one, so I wanted to do the 79 one, which is great. We may do another year in the new year at some point, but I'm not sure when. Anyways, I think that pretty much covers everything that we're going to be doing over the next little while. I hope that you will like what I'm doing and subscribe, and hit the bell so that you don't miss any of this content, and enjoy the week of videos, and we will see you during the week. So have yourself a good day, take care, and bye.